Hello everyone, Josh out here at Encore, the Mustang Parts Warehouse. Cowlabunga. I've got 6 cowl panels out here from the 79 to 93 Mustangs that we're going to go over individually and why I'm discounting them. So if you are interested in replacing your damaged cowl panel on a 79 to 86 or 87 to 93 Mustang, now's your chance to get what are some very straight pieces. In most cases, I try and keep only the one coat of paint ones so that we know what's underneath them is not somebody else's craftsmanship. But these were stored outside and they do have some flash and surface rust going on underneath them. So because you're going to have to add some elbow grease, I'm going to subtract some value and cost to you. The way you'll buy these is through my website. Now I also have perfect ones or ones that haven't been removed yet that will be the 10 out of 10 that some people require, but also with these being 4s and 5s and 6s maybe, I'm going to discount them appropriately with a coupon code. So by the end of this video, you'll know which one you want, you'll know the differences between them, and hopefully I will be able to get one on its way to you. So the easiest way to identify a 79 to 86 or 87 to 93 with them out of the car like this, we could look at the VIN, but is how the dashboard tabs are mounted. They are flat on 79 to 86. That's how the dashboard, and if you recall how the dash pad is installed, it's a very flush mounted to the top of the dash like accessory, and it looks like there are 3 of those here. So for those of you in a 79 to 86, it's this one with the flat tabs, the other bright red one with the flat tabs, and the kind of blurple, black purplish one here next to it that are all flat tabs. So it'll be those 3. Hang on, I'm going to go through each of them individually. And then for the 87 to 93 folks, I'm discounting the maroon one, the black one, and the bright red one. And the way we can tell those just by looking very quickly is they don't have the flat tabs. They're more of a 90-degree here, and that's, if you recall, removing a dashboard out of a Fox, the bolts go straight in, and it goes straight into some of those white clips. Now, from my understanding, the cowl panel is, in general, the same from 83 to 86. Some of your 79 to 82 models, it is stamped a little differently. The trim does fit a little differently, so if you're trying to be very specific, and you don't see here what you're looking for, you can let me know. I have probably every year 79 and 93 individually. But the holes are different as well. That's what one thing I wanted to mention. If we look at this 87 to 93, here's where your source vacuum tree would go, and I'm sure there's some other little doodads that were mounted differently. On this early model, there is no bolt holes, or at least drill holes, for the source vacuum tree, and there's of course going to be a couple little differences going along, but the structure, the dimensions, I would think that you could pull a 79 cowl, which is just the top skin and the front face here, off of the 79 to 86 dash mount, which is actually a separate piece of steel for the basin, and you should be able to mount any 83 to 93 and 93 back to 83, just as long as you're aware of some of the little differences in the bolt holes. So we can tell these are 87 to 93 or 86 even, just based on those holes. But then we have to look at the dash holes and go, oh, well, that one doesn't have the source vacuum. Oh, and it's flat, so we know that's probably an early carbureted model. So we're going to start with the 79 to 86. Why not? They're older. Let's get them out of the way first. This maroon one here, or sorry, the blurple one here, is not in the greatest shape. It's been painted multiple times, so we're kind of starting off with the worst one here. I always look for rust behind the pockets of the hood hinges. It's almost impossible to find a used cowl panel 40 years old that doesn't have some rust there. But of course, I'm going to flip these over inside out and show you the back side, the inside as well. That might be the only way to get an x-ray look at kind of what's going on behind there. And I'm not going to separate these when I sell them. I'm just actually, I went through and cleaned out that windshield area. I've got the adapted Sawzall here to remove windshields. I've got 6 snakes over here that look like this from the weather stripping that I pulled out. And I went through with my wire brush because the windshield area is probably the most common for rust after the hood hinges the hood hinge pockets here. And I mean, really both areas are hidden when installed. So it's not like we're talking rust up here or rust anywhere that you see it. But that's a very common area, and I think very important at this windshield area. How much body filler or urethane do you want to add to that to make sure that your windshield's installed correctly and doesn't leak? But as far as structure-wise, your car is basically built all around these cowl panels. So as far as shape and dimensions, they should be just fine to replace without any big deal. So again, we're going to start with the blurple black purple one here. I can see some rust kind of coming around here, but no missing metal. And this one probably out of the group here will be the most heavily discounted. I don't know what's going on under this 2 coats of paint and clear coat. And we're going to take a look at the bottom now. Actually, wow. I'm going to honor that this will be the most discounted one. I'm not going to start the recording over. It's actually the surface rust on this one is kind of mild. So we're looking again at the hood hinge pockets, see how much, if any, missing metal is going on there. Again, this is an early one. You can tell by the dashboard tabs. It's an earlier model. It just looks really nasty on the top. I don't see any, what's that body tool called? The slide, where you put the pins in and pull and slide it back out, slide hammer type deal. I don't see any holes in here that show, or Bondo oozing through where that's been used in the past. And with the sun as our assistant here, that windshield strip looks okay from the inside. So some of this rusty metal here is actually the basin that I used to cut these out very large, but that adds to shipping costs and nobody really ever uses that to replace their cowl. So you get a nice good look inside here. This is the blurple 4-eyed. I'm going to see if I made any Sawzall mistakes. I know some of this stuff is kind of inconsequential. If you need a cowl panel, you don't need a microscope to go over your replacement. You just need it to not be the same shape as your original one was. A little bit of surface buildup in the corners here. Oh, and the windshield line. So I did go through, like I said, cleaned it up, cleaned it out. That's pretty nice looking. So it's actually very clean along the windshield line. It's I don't want to say extremely clean underneath, but it seems to be very clean underneath. Just a little bit of some more than surface rust here, multiple coats of paint, and the damage we see kind of around, we're going to see around all of them, actually is not even that bad here. So that's our first 79 to 86. The blurple we'll go to, since both of these are red, I am going to decipher them by without wiper pieces and with wiper pieces. So if you are interested in this one, you would say, hey, the one in the video without the wiper pieces looks good from here. Another thing you can kind of easily see, I believe, all the 79 to 86 ones used a foam wiper, kind of a gasket there. So you'll see leftover foam, leftover foam, leftover foam, but 87 to 93, they went with rubber. And there's no leftover there. Just a little side note for you while you're here watching. So we'll go without wiper guts. I don't want to peel too much off, but I do want to show the customer, I guess, all that we can in this little video. So I see rust coming off. It's just the nature of this part and how it held the water. So there's nothing really missing other than the pebbles that have come off. So there's no like chunks or anything like that in that hood hole pocket. Let's go ahead and throw that down there. And this one's already removed, and I do see split metal on this side. So I'm gonna get some sunlight on the top so you can see how straight and undamaged it is. But I thought that was metal. It's not, it's rubber. So it's probably similar on both sides then. Rusty, but not rotted. I hope that explains kind of what that condition is for folks. Let's go across the top. We'll go across the top on this one first. Again, 79 to 86. And there is a difference as well in the 79 to, this one might be actually an older one now that I'm looking at it. I'll have to double check. I'll run the VIN on the title. See how there's only one bolt hole here. And there's two, and there's two, and there's two, and there's two, and there's two. So this might be a 79 to 82. And it would be a completely unique structure to the Actually, I believe this is, looking at it a little closer now, how the wiper cowl, even on this 4-eyed, has these plastic receptacles. This one does not. This one looks like it goes straight into the metal. So until I'm done with the video and actually dissect what this one is, we're going to call this an early 79 to 82. Yes, based on the fact that it does not use the, I don't know if you can see that furthest out receiver. This one never had a spot for those. So we're gonna tentatively call this a 79 to, yeah, this is from my I want to say my 82 Capri. It's got the VIN number right there, 1M. So this is a Mercury Capri. I think this is my 82 Mercury Capri. So very specific on this one, 79 to 82 only. Will also work, I believe, on the 80 up to 86 Mercury Capris. That cowl trim is a V shape after 83 in most cars, but we'll double check that before I ship up, of course, anything out to anybody. But again, discount, surface rusty underneath from sitting outside. I don't see terrible corrosion on this one, just that flash rust, sitting outside rust. That's why we're discounting this one. Going down here, I do not see really any damage from hail or acorns or anything. I'm even looking at how the paint is kind of stressed in these corners. Sometimes I don't know if people sit on them. I don't know what might happen, but sometimes they do. Well, I don't have 3 hands, but sometimes they do crack in those corners from abuse. But as we go along the windshield line for this one, it's also pretty darn clean. Little pits. Just little pits of rust. No rot at the windshield line. So, Mercury Capri. This might even be my 86 Mercury Capri. I'm going to have to look that up, but I think it's absolutely totally different stamp-wise. As we back out, there's a little stain here. Actually, here's a good example. There's a little stain right here where the cowl goes, and it's that V shape. There's a receiver, 2 bolt holes, and a receiver. It's got that V shape. It's hard to see on the dark one, but a receiver, 2 bolt holes receiver. That sucker is pretty straight. That stain is straight back. Straight back, no receivers, 1 bolt hole. So we're learning at this on the fly here what I'm offering you. So that's early or Capri. And then the other 4-eyed one will be this guy here, which I want to say I remember was my 85 GT. It was like a race car. It's been documented on YouTube in the past, and fuel stuff and regulators, and I don't want to say it was hacked up, but this one has a couple extra holes in it, that's for sure. And we'll start at the windshield line. As far as you can see, it's pretty darn clean. Pretty darn clean. Pretty sure it's 85. So this is the one, we'll call this the 4-eyed red with the wiper stuff in the video. This will all be removed unless you buy it along with the, if yours is crushed by an accident, a tree fell on it. Sometimes people removed all that stuff and had a race car and then flipped their hood, so they didn't even have wiper stuff to begin with. Wow, this one's really clean underneath. So the website is Encore, E-N-C-O-R-E, M-P-W, for Mustang Parts Warehouse, same as the name here on YouTube. And you just type in the word cowl, C-O-W-L. So if you don't like something of this quality and you want the best and the best top shelf stuff, go ahead and order off the website. But if you're interested in saving some money because you don't mind adding just a little bit of elbow grease, you'll probably be okay with one of these panels here. The longer I leave them out or the longer I keep them, the more they're going to deteriorate. So I thought, hey, look at that. What's up, dude? So I figured I'd put them on display, put them on sale. That's going to give you guys the best shot at saving some money and getting the parts that you need. This is a very big job to do yourself, I'm sure. Not big, just takes time. You got to drill out, I don't know, 150 spot welds maybe by the time you go all the way through this thing. So we've looked at the windshield line, very clean. We've looked underneath, very clean. I've added this one to the sale because it is bent right here. So this lip here is bent down. I think this is where it was either a brake module of some kind, like an adjustable brake. valve or maybe a fuel regulator. So they bent these tabs flat so they could add a couple holes there. This source vacuum tree, I don't believe was factory to this 85 GT, if that's what car that this one was removed from. So this one's more your scratch and dent, not your rust and save money on like some of the others. But a very nice piece. Very nice piece. So I'd even call that maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. So you look at my website and I'll give you 30 or 40% off. That's pretty much how I'm going to do these. What would I rate this out of a 10? And those are the 3 4-eyed ones. So we went over the black, purple, blurple one here, multiple coats of paint, pretty clean underneath, just a couple areas that had some significant rust. And I said would probably be the heaviest discounted one because it's nasty looking on top. But a good windshield line and complete. This one here, I forgot to mention a rock chip. But that's the early 79, 82, or maybe even later. I think that might be from an 86 Capri that was also documented on the channel. But that's why that one's got a weird stamp and is very specific, but also was a totally workable piece. And then the bright red with wiper parts is bent down a little bit. Still relatively pretty darn clean, but might have a couple extra holes in it. And that's why that one's being discounted. So now we're going on to the 87 to 93 options, which are going to be black and red, maroon and black. So if you're interested in any of those, mention down below. Or if you order on the website, say YouTube video 87 to 93 maroon, black, or red. And I will update this video as they're sold. So you know at the beginning of the video if you wanted the one that said Moroso on it, and I've commented in the description that 1 through 6, number 2, 3, and 4 are sold, then you know it's 1, whatever, 2, whatever's left. You'll know whatever's left. So let's start from left to right. I'm going to go over this together. Like I said, I cleaned them up with Windex and paper towel. I took the molding down as far as I could, the urethane, and then I hit it with the drill. So looking at this one very closely. Now again, we're not really going to use this tab here, shadows here, but we're not using that tab. That tab is part of the basin, I believe. It's really hard to tell. There's three layers of metal right in here. There is a line right here, so I would say it's not part of the top layer that you need when we're replacing a cowl. It almost looks sandwiched because there's another line right here. So it almost looks sandwiched between the basin and the cowl panel itself. 2 coats of paint. Bright red cars were known to fade. That's probably why if this car ever got tapped or like a fender or a hood got repainted, you almost had to do a whole blend with the whole clip. But getting the sunlight on it, other than some scratched paint, I really don't see beyond that rust bubble anything of concern. I do see a ding right in the middle of it. Probably a nickel-sized ding. Kind of right somewhere where that scratch is. It's a nickel-sized ding right there. And I can see I got carried away with the Sawzall. So you are going to install this vertical and this horizontal lip that my thumb is touching when you install this. Looks like I came up from the inside and got a little wild with the Sawzall. So that would, you can install it, or you'll have to just throw a bead of weld on there to close that gap. Let's see what it looks like underneath with the sun at our back here. So this is the 87 to 93 bright red. Surface and flash rust, and I'm not sure if I'm mistaken. I was trying to see if those were those slide hammer holes that then got later filled with Bondo. It doesn't look like it because it's cracking right off. It's really hard to tell. And right in that corner down there, I got a little, I don't know if that was the same corner I showed already, but right there, a little slice got carried away. No, that is the opposite side. So I got a little, just a little carried away right there. Made an extra slice. You can see from the engine compartment side. Not with the fenders installed, no one's gonna see that, but I'm giving you the most thorough review that I can here because I can flip it around and very easily look at it 2 feet away and you might be 200 or 1,000 miles away. So bright red, 87 to 93. I got carried away on both sides. So I've cut it there, I've cut it in that corner, and here's the first one I showed. So I did cut it in, I oopsed, and I went into the part you need in multiple spots. Very tucked away, very hidden. That is under the fender, to give you an idea. But the part itself is not terribly rusty or damaged. It really isn't. But I'd still give this this is probably 50% off. It's not perfect. It's can be made to look nice, but it's going to require that extra labor. So if you like that one, there's your first option. But wait, there's more. Let's go to the maroon one. Again, 87 to 93. We can tell based on the vacuum tree holes, the dash mount brackets. Now, I can already see this one's got some significant rust along the windshield line here, but we're not looking at the part with the VIN tag on it. That part does not get installed. We're looking from this lip on down. And I will go inside this one and give us a view from the back side. Now this is a problem area. This is cracked. Probably split from all the chemical reacting that was going on in this gap, but it did split, and there is metal missing from the cowl side of the windshield lip. So this one is, again, that's why they're being discounted. But a one coat of paint and a very straight cowl panel, minus, again, another rust spot where the wiper goes. Wonder what that is all about. Maybe just the torque of the transmission, the wiper transmission when it works. I see a little ding right where my thumb is, but that's well hidden under the cowl grill. As far as the paint surface that's exposed, that looks great. That's from car number 10. Can you guys see that? 001, and Z is my code for chassis. So this is the first car, the 92 LX convertible that Encore bought. I can tell you exactly where, anything you want to know about it. The car was here for like 10 years at least. But that's car number 1. If you don't buy it, I might put it on the wall someday. Looks like I got a little carried away again. Right inside, right inside. I'm trying to get the background to show. Just a little gap there, so when I flip it around again to the inside of the engine compartment, gosh, it's so hard to show, but it is there. It's a very tiny little spot, probably doesn't even need to be closed off. I did say I'd get in the gap here to the windshield because it was looking a little crusty. Nope, this way. Kind of a very rough piece. Not very rough. The roughest we've seen probably in that area. That is on the cowl side, some of this bubbling. I don't see any holes or what I'm gonna call rot. This is about the closest to rot without me admitting that that's what that is. It's rough. It would, your fingernails would grab on it, but I don't think there's much metal missing. Just bubbled paint and beyond surface rust underneath this one. And I got a little carried away on both ends with this one. The Sawzall went right into the engine compartment, down there in that corner. Looking at the hood pockets, rust around the ring. This one's even got almost the whole piece just evenly coated in rust. There's not any like one area that blew out, just sat outside. And this is car number 1, so these pieces are not used when being reinstalled. It's this 3/8 kind of edge right here that you can see. And sometimes, some of these I did get very close to, or even took a sliver, just a sliver off, because I was trying to save the customer money, save on storage, save on shipping, you know, all that. And you really don't need any of these extra parts in most cases. So, it looks like maybe in that's the side I got in the engine compartment, just a tad. I was a wee lad when car number 1 was cut up. And here we're on to the last one, the black one. Probably, in my opinion, the overall best one of the litter here for your 87 to 93, let me say. Because some of the other ones here actually they're not terrible. They're just something I can't sell at full retail. And, well, I want to blast them out. So let's go over the black 87 to 93. Again, we know that because it's got the source vacuum here. We know it because the way the dash mounts are. Let's get the sunlight on it. Ooh-wee, that's a straight piece. Very straight. Let me go back here. Ooh-wee, that's a straight piece, very straight. So, why is this one being discounted if it's like perfectly straight? Look across the front. I mean, that's the least amount of rust we've seen behind any hood pocket so far. Well, we're gonna find out together. We're gonna look at the back side and the windshield line. I mean, that's pretty much, and I knew that this was one that I did get I took a sliver. You can see how much I left. Oh, got a little close and then kicked back out. So by the time I got to the end, you do have your 2 layers of metal, but I just took off, you know, 2 Sawzall blades thickness here, right in the, maybe not even that much. This I can see right here, I actually didn't even cut. So 1 Sawzall blade thickness was removed there, but if there's 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 6 or 8 spot welds in here, you'll absolutely be able to reinstall it with no problems. I do see a second coat of paint on here, so that's why it's so shiny still. But I don't think it's covering up anything. Looks like same thing over here. We had our 2 layers, Sawzalls width or 2, and then by the end, I was able to come back out and have both layers. But it's hidden. This thing has not got really, other than when the hood is being used, it really doesn't have any stress on it. I guess, and when the windshield wiper motor is being used as well. So now we're gonna look underneath, and this piece just went being from an A- to a C+. And it's just flash and surface rust. Pretty much an equal layer of rust over all non-painted or primered exposed metal. Didn't need to see salt, just need to sit outside for a number of years. A black cowl panel sitting outside. When it's 120 out, that thing's 150 or 60. So even factory primer might have been, I don't want to say boiled off, but I can't think of a better term. And that's what, I mean, with a sandblaster, you're done. Kind of, there's no, it's not rough, it's just even. It's even Steven, even layer of some flash rust. So because I said this is, I think, the best 87 to 93, I'm gonna try and look it over extremely carefully for any other flaws. I don't see that the hood pockets are rotted or rusted very badly, just kind of partnered with the rest of it, that flash rust. I'm gonna try and get us inside this windshield gap here. I still see some seam sealer. It's really hard for me to say how bad any of this may turn out to be. The layers to our left are what we're using, the layers to the right we're not, and I really see most of the corrosion to the layer to the right. Again, there's still seam sealer in there, and you would assume that if the seam sealer is in place, that not much got back in there. Other than the edges I had already previously mentioned, taking a Sawzall's width off accidentally, I really don't see that I got carried away and oopsed anywhere else with the Sawzall. I'll go ahead and look at this basin. So this piece here is the basin. I'm going to set this down just to kind of give a quick explanation. That is the basin, but when you're replacing the cowl panel, it's just this top layer here. You're not replacing anything under this lip or below the 90 degree at the front of the cowl. So we're really only concerned about the metal of the top cowl. So coming across here, I can see, I'll try and get as close as I can. We'll follow the lip of the cowl and see where we find any rust. Just a little surface stuff. splitting in between, and there is a little here I can see. Pitted but not rotted. Again, we're going to follow our lip, so it looks like our lip does include this piece. It comes across and goes cross, cross, cross. So there's the basin side. Top is good. Top is good. Top is good. Basin is good. Top is good. Basin is good. A little bit on the basin side here, but really overall, you're seeing what I'm seeing. I don't see anything of concern at the windshield line, so that's why I said I think out of the 87 and 93 Fox bodies, this one's probably the best. It's straight. It's not really rusty anywhere, other than all over, but no specific spot. I didn't see any oopses. I just got a little too carried away right here, a Sawzall width or two, and same thing on the other side. So if you would please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you like Mustang content. Share this with your friends and pick a winner here and let me know which one it is. The Blurple 79 to 86, the Capri or early Mustang red with no wiper 7982 or 7986 Capri, I believe. The red with wiper transmission for your, we'll call it 83 to 86 Mustang, and I should do that with the Blurple as well. 83 to 86 is the V-shape with the flat dash pad or dashboard tabs. And then we got the bright red 87 to 93, the maroon 87 to 93, and the black 87 to 93. All will be at a discount, sold at this time, middle of October and almost 80 degrees in Chicago. At this time, I'm going to leave this YouTube video to do the sale for me. And maybe by the time winter arrives, I will pull them down and individually list them either on eBay or my website. So if you've caught this early, go ahead and let me know which one you want. If you caught this late, let me know that you're still looking and I'll tell you what I have available. Or again, EncoreMPW.com. You can order a nearly perfect cowl panel. You can also look at other YouTube videos. There's probably 20 or 30 of cowl panels in the customer approval section that I used to sell on a stock photograph and then send the customer like a 10 or 15 minute video of their panel. And that's what I would do for you as well if you buy a stock photograph cowl from either eBay or my website. This is Josh at Encore Mustang Parts. Thank you for your time and hopefully soon your business.